chapter 35 of Exodus here. Number 6. Okay, there we go. Chapter 35, sorry about that. Moses gathered all the congregation of the children of Israel together and said unto them, These are the words which the Lord had commanded that he should do them. 6 days shall work be done. But on the 7th day there shall be to you a holy day, a Sabbath of rest to the Lord. Whosoever doeth work therein shall be put to death. You shall kindle no fire throughout your habitations upon the Sabbath day. Moses spake unto all the congregation of the children of Israel, saying, This is the thing which the Lord commanded, saying, Take ye from among you an offering unto the Lord. Whosoever is of a willing heart, let him bring it, an offering of the Lord, gold, silver, brass, blue and purple, scarlet, and fine linen, and goat's hair, ram's skins dyed red, badger's skin, shittim wood, oil for the light, and spices for anointing oil, and for sweet incense, onyx stones, and stones to be set for the ephod and for the breastplate. Every wise-hearted among you shall come and make all that the Lord hath commanded. The tabernacle, his tent, his covering, his taches, his boards, his bars, pillars, and sockets, the ark, and the staves thereof, with the mercy seat, and the veil of the covering, the table, his staffs, and all his vessels, and his showbread, the candlestick also for the light, and his furniture, and his lamps, and with the oil for the light. The incense altar, his staves, the anointing oil, the sweet incense, the hanging for the door at the entering in of the tabernacle, the altar of burnt offering with his brazen grate, his staves, and all his vessels, the laver and his foot, the hangings of the court, his pillars, the sockets, the hanging of the door, hanging for the door of the court, the pins of the tabernacle, the pins of the court, and the cords, the cloths of service to do service in the holy place, the holy garments for Aaron the priest, and the garments of his sons to minister in the priest's office. All the congregation of the children of Israel departed from the presence of Moses. There came every one whose heart stirred him up, and every one whom his spirit made willing, and they brought the Lord's offering to the work of the tabernacle of the congregation for all his service and for the holy garments. They came, both men and women, and as many as were willing-hearted, and brought bracelets, earrings, rings, tablets, all jewels of gold. Every man that offered. Every man offered an offering of gold unto the. Every man that was able to offered an offering of gold unto the Lord. Every man with whom was found blue, purple, scarlet, fine linen, goat skins, red skins of rams, and badger skins brought them. Everyone that did offer an offering of silver and brass brought the Lord's offering, and every man with whom was found shittim wood for any work of the service brought it. All the women that were wise-hearted did spin with their hands, and brought that which they had spun, both of blue and purple and scarlet and fine linen. All the women whose hearts stirred them up in wisdom spun goat's hair. The rulers brought onyx stones and stones to be set for the ephod and for the breastplate, spice and oil for the light, and for the anointing oil, and for the sweet incense. The children of Israel brought a willing offering unto the Lord, every man and woman whose heart made them willing to bring for all manner of work which the Lord had commanded to be made by the hand of Moses. Moses said unto the children of Israel, See, the Lord hath called by name Bezaleel, or Bezaleel, the son of Uri, the son of Ur, of the tribe of Judah. He hath filled him with the Spirit of God in wisdom and understanding, and in knowledge, and in all manner of workmanship, to devise curious works, to work in gold and silver and brass, and the cutting of stones to set them, and the carving of wood to make any manner of cunning work. He hath put in his heart that he may teach, both he and Aholiab, the son of Ahisamach, of the tribe of Dan, Them hath he filled with wisdom of heart to work all the manner of work of the engraver, and of the cunning workman, and of the embroiderer, in blue, purple, scarlet, and fine linen, of the weaver, even of them that do any work, and of those that devise cunning work. Whew. Chapter 36. Then wrought Bezaleel and Aholiab, and every wise-hearted man, in whom the Lord put wisdom and understanding to know how to work all manner of work for the service of the sanctuary, according to all that the Lord had commanded. Moses called Bezaleel and Aholiab, and every wise-hearted man in whose heart the Lord had put wisdom, even every man whose heart stirred him up to come unto the work to do it. They received of Moses all the offering which the children of Israel had brought for the work of the service of the sanctuary, to make it withal. And they brought yet unto him free offerings every morning. All the wise men that wrought all the work of the sanctuary came every man from his work which they made. They spake unto Moses, saying, The people bring much more than enough for the service of the work which the Lord commanded to make. Moses gave commandment, and they caused it to be proclaimed throughout the camp, saying, Let neither man nor woman make any more work for the offering of the sanctuary. So the people, so the people were restrained from bringing, for the stuff they had was sufficient for all the work to make it, and too much. Every wise-hearted man among them that wrought the work of the tabernacle made 10 curtains of fine twined linen, and blue, purple, scarlet, with cherubims of cunning work made he them. The length of one curtain was 28 cubits, and the breadth of one curtain was 4 cubits. The curtains were all of one size. He coupled the 5 curtains one unto another, and the other 5 curtains he coupled one unto another. He made loops of blue on the edge of one curtain from the selvage of the coupling. Likewise he made in the uttermost side of another curtain, and the coupling of the second. 50 loops made he in one curtain, and 50 loops made he in the edge of the curtain which was in the coupling of the second. The loops held one curtain to another. He made 50 taches of gold, and coupled the curtains unto another with the taches, so it became one tabernacle. He made curtains of goat's hair for the 10 over the tabernacle. 11 curtains he made them. The length of one curtain was 30 cubits, and 4 cubits was the breadth of one curtain. The 11 curtains were of one size. He coupled 5 curtains by themselves, and 6 curtains by themselves. He made 50 loops upon the uttermost edge of the curtain in the coupling, and 50 loops made he upon the edge of the curtain which coupleth the second. He made 50 taches of brass to couple the tent together, that it might be one. He made a covering for the tent of ram's skins dyed red, and a covering of badger's skins above that. He made boards for the tabernacle of shittim wood standing up. The length of a board was 10 cubits, and the breadth of a board 1.5 cubits. One board had 2 tenons, equally distant one from another. Thus did he make for all the boards of the tabernacle. He made boards for the tabernacle, 20 boards for the south side, southward, 40 sockets of silver he made under the 20 boards, 2 sockets under one board for his 2 tenons, and 2 sockets under another board for his 2 tenons. For the other side of the tabernacle, which is toward the north corner, he made 20 boards. Therefore the sockets of silver, 2 sockets under one board, and 2 sockets under another board. And for the sides of the tabernacle westward, he made 6 boards. 2 boards made he for the corners of the tabernacle on the 2 sides. They were coupled beneath, and coupled together at the head thereof to one ring. Thus he did to both of them in both the corners. There were 8 boards, and their sockets were 16 sockets of silver, under every board 2 sockets. He made bars of shittim wood, 5 for the boards of the one side of the tabernacle. Turn the page here. Oops. shittim wood, and the 5 bars for the boards of the other side of the tabernacle, and 5 boards of the boards of the tabernacle for the sides westward. He made the middle bar to shoot through the boards from one end to the other. He overlaid the boards with gold and made their rings of gold to be places for the bars, and overlaid the bars with gold. He made a veil of blue and purple and scarlet, fine twined linen, with cherubims made he it of cunning work. He made thereunto 4 pillars of shittim wood, and overlaid them with gold. Their hooks were of gold, and he cast for them 4 sockets of silver. He made a hanging for the tabernacle door of blue, purple, scarlet, fine twined linen, and of needlework. The 5 pillars of it with their hooks, he overlaid their chapiters with and their fillets with gold, but their 5 sockets were of brass. Chapter 37. Bezaleel made the ark of shittim wood. 2 cubits and a half was the length of it, and a cubit and a half of the breadth of it, and a cubit 1.5 cubits the height of it. He overlaid it with pure gold within and outside, and made a crown of gold to it round about. He cast for it 4 rings of gold to be set by the 4 corners of it, every 2 rings upon the one side of it, and 2 rings upon the other side. He made staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with gold. He put the staves into the rings by the sides of the ark to bear the ark. He made the mercy seat of pure gold, 2.5 cubits was the length thereof, and 1.5 cubits the breadth thereof. He made 2 cherubims of gold, beaten out of one piece made he them, on the 2 ends of the mercy seat. 1 cherubim on the one end on this side, and another cherubim on the other end on that side. Out of the mercy seat made he the cherubims on the 2 ends thereof. The cherubim spread out their wings on high, and covered with their wings over the mercy seat, with their faces one to another, even to the mercy seatward were the faces of the cherubims. He made the tabernacle of shittim wood. 2 cubits was the length thereof, a cubit the breadth thereof, and a cubit and a half the height thereof. He overlaid it with pure gold, and made thereunto a crown of gold round about. He made thereunto a border of a handbreadth round about, and made a crown of gold for the border thereof round about. He cast for it 4 rings of gold, and put the rings upon the 4 corners that were in the 4 feet thereof. Over against the border were the rings, the places of the staves to bear the table. He made the staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with gold to bear the table. He made the vessels which were upon the table, his dishes, his spoons, and his bowls, and his covers to cover withal of pure gold. He made a candlestick of pure gold. Of beaten work made he the candlestick, his shaft and his branch, his bowls, his knops, his flowers were of the same. 6 branches going out of the sides. There were 3 branches of the candlestick out of the one side thereof, and 3 branches of the candlestick out of the other side thereof. This part of the menorah. 3 bowls made after the fashion of almonds in one branch, a knop and a flower, and 3 bowls made like almonds, and another branch, a knop and a flower. So throughout the 6 branches going out of the candlestick, and in the candlestick were 4 bowls made like almonds, his knops and his flowers. A knop under 2 branches of the same, and a knop under 2 branches of the same, and a knop under 2 branches of the same, according to the 6 branches going out of it. Their knops and their branches were the same. All of it was one beaten work of pure gold. He made his 7 lamps and his snuffers, verse 23, snuffers, know the word, okay, snuffers, and snuff dishes of pure gold. Of a talent of pure gold made he it, and all the vessels thereof. He made an incense altar of shittim wood. The length of it was a cubit, and the breadth of it a cubit. It was 4 square, and 2 cubits saw the height of it. The horns thereof were of the same. Horns was of the same. Okay. He overlaid it with pure gold, both the top of it and the sides thereof. round about, and the horns of it. Also he made unto it a crown of gold round about. He made two rings of gold for it under the crown thereof, by the two corners of it, upon the two sides thereof, to be places for the staves to bear it withal. He made the staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with gold. He made the holy anointing oil, and the pure incense of sweet spices, according to the work of the perfumer. Apothecary. Chapter 38. 2 more to go. This is still talking about Bezaleel. He made the altar of burnt offering of shittim wood. 5 cubits was the length thereof, and 5 cubits the breadth thereof. It was 4 square, and 3 cubits the height thereof. He made the horns thereof on the 4 corners of it, and the horns thereof were of the same. He overlaid it with brass. He made all the vessels of the altar, the pots, the shovels, the basins, the flesh hooks, and the fire pans. All the vessels thereof made he of brass. He made for the altar a brazen grate of network under the compass thereof, beneath, under the midst of it. He cast 4 rings for the 4 ends of the grate of brass to be places for the staves. He made the staves of shittim wood, and overlaid them with brass. He made the staves unto the rings on the sides of the altar to bear it withal. He made the altar hollow with boards. He made the laver of brass, and the foot of brass, of the looking glasses of the women assembling, which assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. He made the court on the south side southward, and the hangings of the court were of fine twined linen, 100 cubits. Their pillars were 20, the brazen sockets 20, the hooks of the pillars and their fillets were of silver. For the north side, the hangings were 100 cubits, their pillars were 20, their sockets of brass were 20, and the hooks of the pillars of their fillets of silver. For the west side were hangings of 50 cubits, their pillars 10, their sockets 10, the hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver. For the east side, eastward, 50 cubits. The hangings on the one side of the gate were 15 cubits, their pillars 3, their sockets 3. And for the other side of the court gate, on this hand and on that hand, were hangings of 15 cubits, their pillars 3, and their sockets 3. All the hangings of the court round about were of fine twined linen. The sockets for the pillars were of brass. The hooks of the pillars and their fillets of silver, and the overlaying of their chapiters of silver, and all the pillars of the court were filleted with silver. That chapiters, another word for that, verse 17. Oh, capitals, okay. The capitals of silver. Verse 18, and the hanging for the gate of the court was needlework of blue, purple, scarlet, and fine twined linen, and 20 cubits. And 20 cubits was the length, and the height in the breadth was 5 cubits, answerable to the hangings of the courts. The pillars were 4, the sockets were of brass 4, their hooks of silver, and the overlaying of the capitals and their fillets of silver. All the pins of the tabernacle of the court round about were of brass. This is the sum of the tabernacle, even of the tabernacle of testimony, as it was counted according to the commandment of Moses, for the service of the Levites, by the hand of Ithamar, son of Aaron the priest. And Bezaleel, the son of Uri, the son of Ur, the tribe of Judah, made all that the Lord commanded Moses. With him was Aholiab, son of Ahisamach of the tribe of Dan, an engraver and a cunning workman, and an embroiderer in the blue and purple and the scarlet and fine linen. All the gold that was occupied for the work and all the work of the holy place, even the gold of the offering, was 29 talents, and 730 shekels, and after the shekel of the sanctuary. The silver of them that were numbered of the congregation was 100 talents, and 1,703 score and 15 shekels. 1,703 score, 3 times 20. 3 times 20, 60. Is that 60? 60 plus 15, 75. 1,775 shekels after the shekel of the sanctuary. A pekah for every man. that is half a shekel, after the shekel of the sanctuary, and every one that went to be numbered from 20 years and up and old and upward, for 600,000, 3,000, 600,000, 3,550 men. 603,550 men. Okay. Of the 100 talents and of silver were cast the sockets of the sanctuary and the sockets of the veil, 100 sockets of the 100 talents, a talent for a socket. Of the 1,775 shekels, he made hooks for the pillars, and overlaid their capitals and filleted them. The brass of the offering was 70 talents and 2,400 shekels. Therewith he made the sockets of the door to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, the brazen altar and the brazen grate for it, and the vessels of the altar, the sockets of the court round about, and the sockets of the court gate, and all the pins of the tabernacle, and all the pins of the court round about. Chapter 39. Of the blue, the purple, the scarlet, and made cloths of service to do service in the holy place, and made the holy garments for Aaron, as the Lord commanded Moses. He made the ephod of gold, blue, purple, scarlet, and fine twined linen. They did beat the gold into their thin plates and cut it into wires, and work it in the blue, and in the purple, and the scarlet, and the fine linen with cunning work. They made shoulder pieces for it to couple it together. By the two edges was it coupled together. The curious girdle of its ephod that was upon it was of the same, according to the work thereof, of gold, blue, purple, scarlet, fine twined linen, as the Lord commanded Moses. They wrought onyx stones enclosed in ounces. Verse 6. Verse 6. Ounces. Settings. There you go. Settings. Ounces. Settings of gold. Graven as signets are graven with the names of the children of Israel. He put them on the shoulders of the ephod that they should be stones for memorial to the children of Israel, as the Lord commanded Moses. He made a breastplate of cunning work, like the work of the ephod of gold, blue, purple, scarlet, and fine twined linen. It was 4 square. They made the breastplate double. A span was the length thereof, and the span the breadth thereof, being doubled. It set in it 4 rows of stones. The first row was a sardius, topaz. Hello.
Hi, sorry.
It's okay.
Dad, garbage. What? Why? You done that?
Yeah.
Well, that's what you need.
Okay. What was a first row? What's it say? Blue, scarlet. It was 4 square. They made their breastplate double with span length thereof, and the span of the breadth thereof being doubled. They set in it the 4 rows of stone. The first row was verse 10. First row was sardius, topaz, a carbuncle. That was the first row. This was the first row. The second row, an emerald, sapphire, and diamond. Third row, liger, and agate, and amethyst. Amethyst. No, amethyst, I think. The fourth row, a beryl, an onyx, a jasper. They were enclosed in settings of gold in their enclosings. The stones were according to the names of the children of Israel, 12 according to their names, like the engravings of a signet, everyone with his name, according to the 12 tribes. They made upon the breastplate chains at the ends of wreathen work of pure gold. They made 2 settings of gold and 2 gold rings, and put the 2 rings in the 2 ends of the breastplate. They put the 2 wreathen chains of gold in the 2 rings on the ends of the breastplate, and the 2 ends of the two hooks. Oh, is there another page soon? Oh my gosh. Oh my. Oh, okay. The two wreathen chains they fastened in the two settings and put them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod before it. Excuse me. They made 2 rings of gold and put them on the 2 ends of the breastplate upon the border of it, which was on the side of the ephod inward. They made 2 other golden rings and put them on the 2 sides of the ephod underneath toward the forepart of it, over against the other coupling thereof, above the curious girdle of the ephod. They did, they did bind the breastplate by his rings unto the rings of the ephod with a lace of blue, that it might be above the curious girdle of the ephod, and that the breastplate might not be loosed from the ephod, as the Lord commanded Moses. He made the robe of the ephod of woven work, all of blue. There was a hole in the midst of the robe, as the hole of a harbergium, with a band around about the hole, that it should not rend. They made upon the hems of the robe pomegranates, blue, purple, scarlet, and twined linen. They made bells of pure gold, and put the bells between the pomegranates from the hem of the robe round about between the pomegranates. A bell and a pomegranate round about the hem of the robe to minister in, as the Lord commanded Moses. They made coats of fine linen of woven work for Aaron and for his sons, and a meter of fine linen, and the goodly bonnets of fine linen, and linen breeches of fine twined linen, a girdle of the fine twined linen of blue, purple, scarlet of needlework, as the Lord commanded Moses. They made a plate of the holy crown of pure gold, and wrote upon it a writing, like to the engravings of a signet, holiness to the Lord. They tied unto it a lace of blue to fasten it on high upon the mitre, M-I-T-R-E, meter, as the Lord commanded Moses. Thus was all the work of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation finished. And the children of Israel did according to all that the Lord commanded Moses, so did they. They brought the tabernacle unto Moses, the tent, and all of his furniture, his taches, his boards, his bars, his pillars, his sockets, the covering of the ram's skins dyed red, the covering of badgers' skins, and the veil of the covering, the ark of the testimony, the staves thereof, the mercy seat, the table, and all the vessels thereof, and the showbread, the pure candlestick with the lamps thereof, even with the lamps to be set in order, and all the vessels thereof, and the oil for light, the golden altar, and the anointing oil, the sweet incense, and the hanging for the tabernacle door, the brazen altar, his grate of brass, his staves, and all of his vessels, the laver and his foot, the hangings of the court, his pillars and his sockets, and the hanging for the court gate, his cords and his pins, and all the vessels of the service of the tabernacle for the tent of the congregation, the cloths of service to do service in the holy place, and the holy garments for Aaron the priest, and his sons' garments to minister in the priest's office, according to all that the Lord commanded Moses. So the children of Israel made all the work. Moses did look upon all the work, and behold, they had done it as the Lord had commanded. Even so had they done it, and Moses blessed them. Chapter 40, last one for Exodus. The Lord spake unto Moses, saying, on the first day of the first month thou shalt set up the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation. Thou shalt put therein the ark of the testimony, and cover the ark with the veil. Thou shalt bring in the table, and set in order the things that are to be set in order upon it. And thou shalt bring in the candlestick, and light the lamps thereof. Thou shalt set the altar of gold for the incense before the ark of the testimony, and put the hanging of the door to the tabernacle. Thou shalt set the altar of the burnt offering before the door of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation. Thou shalt set the laver between the tent of the congregation and the altar, and shalt put water therein. Yeah, go ahead. Verse 8. Thou shalt set up the court round about, and hang up the hanging at the court gate. Thou shalt take the anointing oil and anoint the tabernacle and all that is therein, and shalt hallow it, all the vessels thereof, and it shall be holy. Thou shalt anoint the altar of the burnt offering and all its vessels, and sanctify the altar, and it shall be an altar most holy. Thou shalt anoint the laver and his foot, and sanctify it. Thou shalt bring Aaron and his sons unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and wash them with water. Thou shalt put upon Aaron the holy garments, and anoint him, and sanctify him, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. Thou shalt bring his sons, and clothe them with coats. Thou shalt anoint them, as thou didst anoint their father, that they may minister unto me in the priest's office. For their anointing shall surely be an everlasting priesthood throughout their generations. Thus did Moses. According to all that the Lord commanded him, so did he. It came to pass in the first month in the second year, on the first day of the month, that the tabernacle was reared up. Verse 17. Raised up. Moses raised up the tabernacle and fastened his sockets, set up the boards thereof, and put in the parts thereof, and raised up his pillars. He spread abroad the tent over the tabernacle, and put the covering of the tent above it, as the Lord commanded Moses. He took and put the testimony into the ark, and set the staves on the ark, and put the mercy above upon the ark. And he brought the ark into the tabernacle, and set up the veil of the covering, and covered the ark of the testimony, as the Lord commanded Moses. He put the table in the tent of the congregation upon the side of the tabernacle northward, without the veil. He set the bread in order upon it before the Lord, as the Lord had commanded Moses. He put the candlestick in the tent of the congregation over against the table on the side of the tabernacle southward. He lighted the lamps before the Lord, as the Lord commanded Moses. He put the golden altar in the tent of the congregation before the veil. He burnt sweet incense thereon, as the Lord commanded Moses. He set up the hanging at the door of the tabernacle. He put the altar of burnt offering by the door of the tabernacle of the tent of the congregation, and offered upon it the burnt offering and the meat offering, as the Lord commanded Moses. He set up the laver between the tent of the congregation and the altar, and put water there to wash withal. Moses and Aaron and his sons washed their hands and their feet thereat, when they went into the tent of the congregation, and when they came near unto the altar, they washed as the Lord commanded Moses. He raised up the court round about the tabernacle and the altar, and set up the hanging of the court gate. So Moses finished the work. Then a cloud covered the tent of the congregation, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Moses was not able to enter into the tent of the congregation, because the cloud abode thereon, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. When the cloud was taken up from over the tabernacle, the children of Israel went onward in all their journeys. But if the cloud were not taken up as they journeyed, not till the day that it was taken up, then they journeyed not till the day that it was taken up. For the cloud of the Lord was upon the tabernacle by day, and fire was on it by night, in the sight of all the house of Israel throughout all their journeys. Exodus is finished. This Sunday we will continue in Leviticus, and continue where we left off there. I hope that you enjoyed this reading tonight, the final reading of Exodus. So we will continue Leviticus Sunday afternoon for sure. I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.